Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Extremely glad and happy to be on the second episode. Mr. Abdullah Ghandour, I'm so happy to have you here. Abdullah Ghandour is the Digital Communication Manager at Etisalat, UAE. And today, inshallah, together we will be bringing lots of hands-on experience when it comes to digital advertising for the telecom sector and industry in the UAE. You're most welcome, Abdullah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the warm introduction. That was very nice of you. I couldn't have ended the week with a better conversation with a bright mind like yourself. Thank you for having me and for having this conversation.
Thanks a lot, Abdullah. A lot of people will be later on and today, of course, looking forward to your insights that have always been hands-on since the first day that I knew you. So these are kind of information that I'm looking forward for you to involve us in. And we will start, of course, everybody knows that from your experience, you will be the man who can guide us towards the latest updates for the telecom industry, especially here in the UAE. And we would like to, of course, also involve the relevancy of the time that we are having this discussion, which is the COVID and the new pandemic that probably has shifted a lot of mindsets and tactical strategies from how they used to be before the pandemic and how things might have changed and might have not. Absolutely. So is it safe to assume that Etisalat has, for example, prepared a certain strategy to tackle the new mindsets of customers that have been affected by the new pandemic? So in terms of preparing the recipe for taking a campaign live, has the strategy changed, and was that change based on the change of the mindsets?
But I want to take a step back to highlight that the adaptation modeling to your second question about the recipe. So today in Etisalat, everyone is our customer. Everyone is a customer or a potential customer of Etisalat. We are fortunate enough to be a leading company who caters for everyone in UAE, even the visitors, even those who are visiting for a day to those who live there for months and years and residents and whatnot. With that mindset, we had to adapt and we had to keep changes coming to be on top of the market when it comes to certain aspects. One of these things was to actually adapt a recipe to understand the mindset of the customer campaign basis. So today I don't have one recipe fits all. I have a kitchen that looks into the user behavior. I dissect the user behavior into certain elements, certain segments, personas. And based on the persona, I develop my strategy first. I put my media touch points. I get the creative media agency involved. And then the media communications talk happens. COVID came. This didn't change. We still went through all of these steps. But what changed is that we had to look at the touch points, digital touch points in particular, in different perspective. And we had to look at the user behavior. Did it change? Did it not? So we found out that, for example, there's no more roaming. Stop it. Nice. There's no more visitor line. Stop it. So these are the easy ones, But then you find out there is no more physical stores open. So what do? I need to sell online. So this naturally comes as a solution. So these are the easy ones. But the ones that I think that interest you and the audience today is the things that already were there before COVID. But how did we adapt to make it better today? One of the things was naturally the lack or the absence of the offline market. So today there's people stuck at home. They're not allowed to go. They're not allowed to go to malls, to cinemas, whatnot. They're not driving. They're not listening to radios and whatnot. So today I had to look, again, to the point of the recipe. I had to look at these touch points and how do I reach these personas, that the personas themselves are changed. My persona before would look like something I'm going to target Ala, who's a frequent traveler, for example, or someone who visits these physical locations 3 times a week, or someone who goes, again, you know the drill, how you put the personas into place. So today I have only one persona, which is the online behavior, to actually even target them and to put them in the place. So with that in mind, I had to look into, with the agency, with my team, with everyone involved, of course, we had to look into what makes the recipe adapt. So the recipe is there, but you have to answer the questions.
Okay.
We're going to talk about daytime parting when it comes to targeting.
Yeah.
At some points in life, we used to, in our marketing, we used to know, like, I want to target people more heavily over the weekend or towards the end of the month, mid-month. Depends on the campaign objective because of certain elements, right? Today, all days are the same. Saturday, the same as Sunday, the same as Monday. You're working from home. So we had to adapt to that. We had to adapt to the fact that people spending more time online, meaning your ad is going to be diluted. But how do I adapt to that in terms of touch points and frequency capping? Because I don't want to be diluted, but at the same time, I don't want to overdo it, keeping for all our campaigns.
So Abdullah, please, if you can take us through the usual funnel, please. If you just describe and mention the
so
we can visualize
let's put it into the CTA and the funnel perspective. Today, my funnel would be to sell a device. My first upper funnel will be awareness, and the awareness will be, for example, here's the new iPhone, learn out more, and then they go to the website, and the website itself will, by all means, have the capability of selling you the device, and you might as well do it, and we will drop you from retargeting. So today, the pixels are there, and if you buy, you go to the thank you page, and you're dropped from communications. If you're not, we're still retargeting you, but based on the impression retargeting, not the website retargeting, because we're still giving you the consideration phase. If it was the conversion, then the retargeting will be more aggressive by now, but we're still in the consideration. And the consideration now, I'm not saying learn more. If I'm telling you about buying a device that have five colors, and they'll be like, check out the different colors, check out the different device capacities, whatever. So today, the USP and the consideration, the keyword here is USP, will be, if you talk about colors, device capacity and whatnot. So the CTA here needs to actually be aligned with the offering and with the persona. So I'm not going to say just yet buy now. I'm going to say
explore more,
check out the colors, explore more, but like explore colors, find out the different options.
And so then you want to get the user to be familiar with the features of that phone, for example, in our example.
Definitely. And today you see this different thing. You go to the cinema, you see an ad, not just Etisalat, anyone else do it. You see an awareness ad, then you go drive back home, you see a different ad about consideration. So the CTA here is very important, not to be aggressive, not to be buy now. The CTA here, buy now, we use it aggressively only when it comes to the conversion phase and to the remarketing phase, which is conversion, lower funnel.
So and awareness is the first layer in your funnel, is consideration and awareness. What's the second? Yes. What goes next?
Consideration, which is definitely the DSPs.
So it's awareness, then consideration.
Yes, definitely. The USPs are something you need to highlight to the customer, and you need to drive their consideration into buying. And again, the look back window makes it's very important to understand how long does a user take in order to be convinced to buy something. Or to
and what would be the CTA here in this stage of the funnel?
A CTA is actually to go check out the colors, not to go buy the device. The lower funnel, which is the performance funnel.
Which is, and it's the funnel, is it the final stage of the funnel?
This is where you are aggressive. This is when you know it's where he's going to buy.
Well, this is amazing. Abdullah, mashallah, so far, this has been 101 class for call to actions digitally. We've broken it down in a very, very clear manner. I really thank you about it. And you took it from a funnel perspective, awareness, consideration, conversions, and what the call to actions that you personally advise from your own hands-on experience. You have your own first-party data that you utilize in media advertising, and you use third-party data. Is that correct? Through Bluekai and Lotami.
Yes, and we use also you can use it through DSP. Today we're using the DV360 definitely. So
Great.
So you can use you can buy the third-party data using the DSP, but we choose to do it through a hybrid model, the DV and the Bluekai.
Second-party data. The question on second-party data. Can you highlight why is it not being used?
The second-party data is a challenge across the market. I think the GDPR regulations are a hot topic in the market. It's something that Europe mastered a few years ago. Again, this is just merely an opinion. I'm not an expert to the regulations of the aspect. Just from, as you said, hands-on what I see myself.
No one else.
The biggest concern today is the GDPR regulations. That is the UAE as a government, from my understanding, again, something is a hot topic and being finalized. So today, people are afraid to touch this subject just for the mere fact that they don't want to do anything that's not approved yet. We don't know if it's approved. We don't know if it's not approved. It's just a topic that people wish to stay away from it. Today, as a market, merely as a CRM data, eventually for the DMPs, is the match between the user cookie and whatnot with profile, with the email and the phone numbers, right? The match rate for that at best is 25%. So today, as much as you talk about CRM data and first-party data and third-party data and all of that, and this second-party data, the match rate is still low. What about the 75% I'm not capturing? The only way to be more accurate is to use UDIDs. The UDIDs, the universal ID of the device, that is the only factor today, the only attribute, the only measure, the only attribution you can use to actually say, you know what, I'm going to actually make sure that I'm going to reach this because I'm targeting your device, your mobile device. Today, no one is doing it here. We're not doing it because of regulations, of fear of regulations. I'm not sure if I should dwell too much on this, but today we're not doing it. Our security team, our teams are in touch and talks about these things just to understand what can and cannot be done. So today when I go, I cannot use it myself as a first-party data. I cannot use it as third-party data. So if I'm not doing it as first-party data, the last thing I can do today is to go talk to a second entity to talk about a direct deal for a second-party data. So the data topic, I believe today is not mature in the market. I believe the data sets itself, the data warehousing and the data, what's the right terminology for that? Data mining is there. there. I think there's a lot of big enterprises in the region that have a very rich set of data that they're doing a great job managing it and mining it. But the use of this data when it comes to the market as a whole is somehow limited today. The market can benefit in the short term, on the long term as well, in the long run, from being a data-driven market. Today, unfortunately, it's not.
For the past 2 years, that if you have a layer of data of users, of their device IDs, you're reaching them more accurately than relying on cookies. Even
Yes.
the expiry for those device IDs are way longer than cookies. Cookies are expired
Yes.
way before. And we have seen the movement from the giants as the Google, through the Google Chrome, for example.
It is a hot topic.
So it's a big topic, but our love.
I can give you just a quick insight. And you are, Ala, mashallah alayk, you've always been a leader when it comes to these topics. And I remember having different discussions with you regarding this. And maybe some of the things I'm going to mention, maybe I've learned from yourself. There are different select suppliers in this market today that they're actually putting a great effort into consolidating the web traffic with the mobile traffic. Because today, the fact is that as much as there's talk about DSPs and programmatic, I'm not opening another can, but there is the programmatic talk and then consolidation. But the fact is, you cannot consolidate web traffic to mobile app unless you use the DMP. To do that, if you're relying on the UDIDs, you can. And there are select couple of, I'm aware of couple of suppliers in the market. Their main offering is this. And it's their angle in the market. And it's their, I think, not saying everyone should do it, but there are solutions. But in a couple of years' time, I believe everyone, and as Etisalat, our strategy actually is towards what we call is the audience of one.
Audience of one.
The penetration of the mobile app towards web give or even desktop is increasing month over month and year over year. It's not a secret for the mobile app, but the mobile app, the website will always be there and the desktop will always be there. So you cannot roll it out. So that have to be sharing my humble opinions and feedback on top of points. Thank you very much for the nice words. Again, we're learning from people like yourself. I see the audience with us, very good colleagues of ours, and also they are leading their thing. So to share to everyone. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate you, Abdullah. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your experience. This is why we wake up every morning, to make sure that we're adding something new to our lives and hopefully to others. Thank you very much, Abdullah, and hopefully we'll see you back again face to face whenever it's ready.
I appreciate it. Have a good week.